Our next guest is Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Amb Danon. Before this latest flare-up of violence, he recently turned to the Bible as a way to defend Israel's territorial claims. Have a listen.
And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant. And I will give to you and to your descendants after you all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. This is a deed to our land.
Well, the Israeli Deputy Defense Minister until mid-2014, Ambassador to the UN, Amb Danon, joining me now live from Jerusalem. So Land for Peace is, of course, the legalistic interpretation of UN Security Council Resolution 242, which has been used as the basis of Arab-Israeli peacemaking in recent history. When you look at what is going on at present between the Israelis and Hamas and Islamic Jihad, both or one of which in Gaza, what chance of peace, sir?
Well, we have to look at the facts, Becky. The fact is that Israel withdrew from Gaza completely in 2005. You don't have any so-called settlements, no occupation in Gaza. Hamas took over a few months after we left Gaza. And today, look what happened. Hamas is committing a double war crime. They are targeting Israeli civilian population while hiding behind the poor people in Gaza. We are defending our people. We are trying to minimize the casualties among Palestinian civilians, but we are determined to protect our people, and we will come after the leadership of Hamas, the leadership of Islamic Jihad, all of those radicals who are trying to create chaos in Israel.
Meantime, 2 million people live in chastened conditions. So you issued a statement calling on the UN Security Council to condemn Hamas, writing, quote, "Take this opportunity to finally condemn terrorism against Israel, designate Hamas as a terrorist organization and support the fundamental right of Israel to self-defense." How will that help?
Becky, condemning Hamas is not important for Israel. It's important for the civilians who live in Gaza. The day we will be able to exterminate Hamas, the people of Gaza will celebrate. Look what's happening there. When the international community transfers funds or cement to build the hospitals or schools, they use that cement to build tunnels to penetrate into Israel. They use metals to build rockets to attack Israel. They just sent in 24 hours more than 600 rockets. You know how much time, how much money, how much energy they put into this industry of terror? So I think it is about time that the Security Council will designate Hamas as a terrorist organization and will designate those who support the terrorist organization, mainly Iran, who backs Hamas on a daily basis.
Let's remind ourselves that meantime, as lawmakers and diplomats talk, once again, 2 million people trapped in Gaza, living in chastened conditions, Israelis on the border, also in fear of their lives. At some point, we all know that something needs to happen to put people out of their misery. Jared Kushner announcing that he will very soon provide the sort of framework for what he believes is at least the bones for a peace deal. Now, you've put out what you call your 4 pillars for peace. First, that Palestinians must recognize the Jewish state of Israel. 2, Palestinians must end their campaign of incitement. 3, regional cooperation. And 4, Israel will never compromise its security. Those are
we are committed to
valid.
Peace.
Hang on, sir. The Palestinians, on their part, will say, as they watch a new prime minister talk about annexing further land in the West Bank, where is the land for peace narrative? And for 30 years, that has been the narrative. Do you concede, and I put this question to Mustafa Barghouti a little earlier in the show, do you concede that new thinking and fresh perspective is needed and that compromise is needed on both sides?
We are committed to peace, and we proved it. In the past, we had 5 wars with Egypt, and we signed 40 years ago a very important peace treaty with the Egyptians. And today we cooperate with them fighting terrorism in the region. We signed a treaty with Jordan. But we are waiting for the Sadat of the Palestinians to emerge, to come and to say, enough with the bloodshed, enough with terrorism, enough with the incitement, let's have a dialogue. We don't see it happen. In Gaza, you have a terrorist organization, but also in the PA, in Ramallah, we don't think that today you have a viable partner. We are expecting to see the peace plan coming from Washington. We respect the work of the administration. We haven't seen the details, Becky, but we respect it. We will engage. On the other hand, the Palestinians say out loud, don't even bother to send us the peace plan. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to have any negotiations with the Israelis.
Danny Danon, you've laid out in detail there your position. The Palestinians will say, what about borders? What about right of return? What about Jerusalem? I ask you again, and it's interesting that you say you haven't seen the details of this plan. Jared Kushner, just on Friday, suggesting that those who need to see this plan, those involved, actually do know the details. So, you know, perhaps he feels that you're sort of one leg removed from that. But do you concede that fresh thinking and a new perspective is needed?
We are open-minded. We are willing to negotiate. But for that, you need the other side to step into the room and to negotiate, to stop the incitement, to stop terrorism, to stop sending rockets and missiles. What do you think today 9 million Israelis think when they wake up in the morning after a night that they had to run to the shelters 3 or 4 times a night? You think they don't think about peace. They think about survival. They think about security. And that's exactly what the government is determined to provide, is security. But when the time will come, we will enter the room, we will negotiate, we will be open-minded. But for that, you will need a partner coming from the other side.
A source from a U.S. ally familiar with the discussions who has confirmed to CNN that there is an emphasis on economics and an absence of a two-state element in this Kushner plan. A lot of people who have, believed that they now get a sense of what this operational document is all about say this is no more than effectively a business plan and the politics will come later. If that were the case, is that dead in the water from the outset? A business plan as opposed to a political plan?
So I think we have to be a little bit more patient. It will be revealed in few weeks. So we shouldn't run into speculations. I read a lot of people speaking about what they think will be on the plan. Let's wait a few weeks and see what it is. But a regional cooperation is important. We think we should have more support from the international community. We believe in partnering with regional moderate Arab countries. And yes, we want to see economical development, and we want to see the people in Gaza and Judea and Samaria having a better life. But in order to do that, we have to get rid from the terrorists. We have to have a condemnation from the international community. You cannot think about a solution and ignore the terrorism and the radicals who are unfortunately are very instrumental in our region.
So with that, we're going to leave it there. We thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, Becky. Thank you.